All right, welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're stepping into a really quite special place described in our source material.
Yeah, we're looking at excerpts from Chapter 4 of Where Being is Enough, A Story of Unfolding by Dr. Pooyan Ghamari.
Exactly. In this chapter, it really invites you to just slow down.
So our mission today is to kind of immerse ourselves in the atmosphere it describes and really unpack its ideas about, well, arrival, acceptance.
And just what it means to be.
Just be. We're going to this place, Jigolabad, and following someone named Nahla as she first arrives.
And right from the start, the way the source describes how people get there, from what it calls the world beyond, it's pretty striking.
It really is. It says they don't arrive with, like, noise or a big entrance.
No, not at all. The text says stillness. They arrive with stillness.
Yeah, and not because someone invited them or they had a map, but they're guided by something else, something inside.
A quiet ache.
A quiet ache. That phrase just, it stops you for a second, doesn't it?
It does. What is that ache? The source gives us a clue. It calls it a desire for something unnamed.
An unnamed, yeah.
Something softer than survival and freer than performance.
That really hits home, you know?
Yeah.
It paints a picture of people who've been maybe running on survival mode, you know, that constant push.
The hardness.
Yeah, the hardness needed. Or they've been performing, always having to be a certain way, meet expectations.
Right. So the ache isn't for like a new job or a destination. It's for a different way of being.
Exactly. Something softer, less demanding, more real, maybe, than the roles they've been playing.
Makes you think, what does it take for that ache to get so strong? It actually leads you somewhere new.
And this time, the person arriving, it's Nahla. And we get this immediate contrast. Outwardly, she's measured, pleasant, poised.
Looks like she's got it all figured out.
Totally. The picture of composure. But then the text tells us, inside, she carries a restlessness that no etiquette could soothe.
So the outward polish doesn't quite cover the inner static, maybe.
Something like that. That restlessness is still there, underneath the perfect manners.
And her name, Nahla. That's important too, isn't it?
It means fresh water. And the source points this out because it contrasts with how she feels about herself. She feels
Still contained, will behave.
Exactly. Like water stuck in a jar, right? Not flowing.
Yeah, its natural movement kind of stopped.
But her name, fresh water, hints at her potential. Her true nature, perhaps. Fluid. Alive.
So it sets up this journey for her, doesn't it? From being this contained, well-behaved water to maybe reconnecting with that flow.
Precisely. Moving from the expectations of the world beyond towards something more inherent.
Okay, so she arrives, she gets to Jigolabad. And the first thing that happens, or rather doesn't happen, is striking.
Right. The text says, no one turned to stare, no one asked where she came from.
No interrogation, no sizing her up immediately.
Which leads straight into this core idea of the place. It's stated so simply, presence is the only passport.
Wow. Okay, let's unpack that. Presence is the only passport.
Think about it. Usually your passport is your papers, your history, your job title, your status.
What you bring, what you've done.
Yeah. But here, none of that is the currency. Your right to be there, your acceptance, it just depends on you. Well, being present. Right here, right now.
That completely flips the usual script, doesn't it? How we value people, how we grant entry.
Totally. It shifts the focus from what you did or where you're from to just who you are in this moment.
So all that performance, that history Nahla might have carried, suddenly irrelevant.
It just bypasses it all. All that's needed is her, just her presence.
So Nahla pauses there.
Yeah.
And she's scanning, but not the people. She's scanning the atmosphere. What's she looking for?
What does the air itself feel like? And the source tells us exactly what it communicates back to her. A kind of threefold message.
Okay.
You may rest, you are safe, you are seen.
Wow. Rest. Safe. Seen. For someone like Nahla with that restlessness, probably always needing to be on.
Right, the survival, the performance. These aren't just nice words. They're like fundamental permissions. They hit right at the heart of her needs.
Permission to finally drop the performance, maybe. Safety from whatever judgment might follow if she does.
And just being seen, not for the polished outside, but just for being there, as she is.
It's like the place itself is validating her, silently, speaking right to that quiet ache.
Exactly. Unconditional acceptance just radiating from the environment.
Okay, so she's taking this in, feeling this atmosphere, and then someone does notice her. Geej.
Yeah, and the way it's described is just beautiful. Geej notices her the way the sky notices a single bird in flight.
Oh, that's lovely. So not like a focused stare, but
Yeah,
just this vast, quiet awareness.
exactly. Not singling her out, just acknowledging her presence within the whole space. It's very gentle.
And Gija's first move isn't to rush over, but to actually step back,
Steps back. And the reason given is so simple but deep, to make space.
to make space.
And then the text adds, in that space, something sacred stirred. So the welcome isn't about filling the space for her. It's about creating emptiness, creating room.
Room for her to just arrive, fully.
Yeah, maybe room for her vulnerability, room for whatever needs to come up from inside her. The source calls that sacred. It honors her internal world first.
And it's not just Gage. Other people respond too, but it's all nonverbal, isn't it?
All nonverbal. So Hana gives the silent, open glance, as open as a clearing in the forest.
An invitation to openness, mirroring the space.
And Soraya touches the soil, and there's this whispered reminder associated with it. This ground does not judge you. It holds you without question.
Wow. Like fundamental support. You're accepted right down to the earth beneath your feet.
No conditions. And then Ayana offers this subtle warmth. It's described as an invitation without expectation, an embrace that didn't require skin.
An embrace of her being, maybe. Not the physical person, but her presence.
That's how it feels. Like her spirit is being welcomed. And altogether, these quiet actions, they just create this undeniable feeling of acceptance, but without demanding anything from Nahla.
They're just being present in this incredibly welcoming way.
Open, non-judgmental presence.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting for me. She gets this incredibly gentle, unconditional welcome. And she hesitates.
Right, she hesitates. And the source gives us this amazing insight. Freedom, when it is real, often feels terrifyingly soft.
Terrifyingly soft. That seems like a contradiction. Freedom is usually something we think of as strong, powerful. Why terrifying? And why soft?
Well, I think we often think of freedom as breaking out of something, escaping rules, oppression, that feels active, maybe even hard-won.
Right. Revolutionary.
But the freedom here in Jigolabad, it seems like it's freedom from the internal stuff, the need to perform, the fear of not being good enough, that armor you build up for survival.
Ah, okay. So when that armor isn't needed anymore, when the pressure's off.
You're exposed.
Yep.
You're soft, vulnerable.
Oh, I get that.
And after a lifetime of maybe needing to be tough or always on, that softness, that vulnerability, it can feel really scary. What if this real me isn't okay? What if there's nothing left when the act stops?
That makes so much sense. And right in that moment of hesitation, she whispers something. Do I need to say something?
Yeah, see, she's still running the old program. The reflex to perform, to justify being there by doing something, saying something.
Filling the silence, proving her worth somehow.
It's the habit from the world beyond, isn't it? Where you often gain acceptance by contributing in a certain way. She's looking for the rules, the cues.
And Gage's response is just perfect. First, a silent smile. Described as a smile that didn't ask anything, it simply allowed.
So the smile itself is permission not to perform.
And then the words, not a command, but an invitation, really. Only if there's something you no longer wish to carry.
Right. And crucially, not for us to hear, but so you might finally hear yourself.
Oh, that completely reframes it. Speaking isn't for the audience, it's for the speaker.
Exactly. It's not about impressing others or explaining yourself to them. It's about releasing a burden for yourself. Using your voice for internal listening, for letting go.
So it's about self-liberation, not external validation.
Precisely. And what does Nahla do then, after this huge permission slip?
She doesn't give a speech. She doesn't confess everything. She just sits.
Sits. Not within the circle, but near enough for its warmth to reach her.
Just near enough. A small step. Not claiming the center stage. Just allowing herself to be close to that acceptance.
And the conclusion the text draws from this simple act, and that here was more than enough.
More than enough. Wow. Just sitting quietly nearby, that was sufficient. It really lands that core message, doesn't it? Your simple presence, your being here, it's enough.
It fundamentally redefines what counts as participation, what counts as valid presence. No performance needed.
So what happens after that? The evening goes on, and the source makes a point of saying nothing dramatic occurred.
Right. No big healing ritual, no emotional flood. It kind of pulls the rug out from under you if you're expecting some huge cathartic release.
Yeah, no movie moment.
Yeah.
But, crucially, something happened. Something shifted.
Something shifted. So the change was internal, subtle, not a big show.
And the text explains how this shift happens. It says, when you stop requiring people to belong and start trusting them to simply be.
That's the key difference, isn't it? Belonging often means fitting in, conforming. It can be conditional.
Right, you have to meet the criteria to belong.
But being is unconditional. It's trusting someone's inherent state, just letting them be present in their own way. And when that pressure to belong lifts,
They begin to unfold,
not like a performance.
which is deliberate, constructive.
Exactly, but like water, remembering it can move.
Back to the water. Connecting to Nala's name and her feeling still and contained.
Yes. The space of just being allows that contained self, the still water, to remember its true nature, which is to flow, to be fresh, to move freely.
It's such a powerful image. Returning to your authentic self not by trying harder, but by being allowed, being trusted.
By the permission granted by the whole environment.
And this idea of freedom is also described differently here. It says, freedom does not arrive with a flag.
No grand announcement.
It comes quietly, like dusk through an open window.
Again, it's subtle, pervasive,
Yeah.
natural, not loud or fought for, but just settling in, the freedom from all that noise and effort.
It's really beautiful. Later that evening, Gage reflects on the culture of Jigolabad, and it's not about control.
No, Gage says the culture they need is not one that controls or corrects. It's not about fixing people or telling them the right way to be. It's simpler.
It's one that reminds.
Helps people remember something true about themselves that maybe the outside world made them forget.
And what's the core reminder?
That the human being in their unpolished, honest state is as clean as water.
The unpolished, honest state. Like before all the layers we put on. The performance, the defenses.
Exactly, that raw, authentic core. The reminder is that this state naturally is inherently clean. Like water. Nothing wrong with it. Nothing shameful that needs hiding or fixing.
And the last part. And there is no shame in being clear.
Clear like water. Transparent. Being just who you are, present, without needing to obscure yourself.
It's just this deep affirmation of words, isn't it? Saying authenticity itself is clean, natural, and there's absolutely no shame in it.
Remove shame entirely from just being yourself.
So this deep dive, it's really walked us through Nahla's first moments, hasn't it? From that world of performance to a place where being is truly enough.
Yeah, we've explored this radical idea of presence as the only passport, felt that quiet, spacious welcome.
And that idea that real freedom can feel terrifyingly soft because it asks for vulnerability.
And we saw how unfolding happens there, not through big interventions, but subtly, like water remembering how to move just because people are trusted to be.
The central message really echoes, doesn't it? In Jigolabad, your being is enough.
Which leaves us, and maybe you listening, with this thought to kind of carry away. What might your own unpolished, honest state feel like if you really gave it space?
And, what might happen if we tried to create a bit more space for simple being for ourselves, maybe for the people around us? Could it allow us or them to unfold, not like a performance, but like water remembering it can move?